Welcome, Storm fans. My name is Kyle Akins. I'm joined here today by head coach Bob Booher, the coach of the women's basketball team, and he's here to help us preview the 2011-2012 season. Coach Booher, let's get right into it. Now this is your second year in the GLIAC. Tell us, maybe what you guys learned in the first year and how that's going to translate into this year.
Well, I think, Kyle, the most difficult thing the first year was not knowing who you were competing with, not really knowing all the teams. Girls weren't used to the travel situation yet, the Thursday, Saturday, with the one day in between to, go over scouting reports and shoot-arounds and things like that. So I think, it was an interesting first year for us because there was a lot of things that were different from being an independent. So I think, we'll be better prepared this year to meet up with that.
We'll talk a little bit about your squad. You're a very senior-laden team now with 8 seniors on the roster. How is that as you prepare for the season?
Well, I think the fact that the 8 seniors know that this is their last go-round in college basketball, they've been putting in a lot of work in the preseason here, and it's a situation where I always laugh because recruits are always worried about what they're going to do the next 4 years, and the seniors, what we're dealing with right now is what are they going to do the rest of their lives after their senior year is over. So there's a whole different set of parameters that you're dealing with when you have a veteran team.
Sure. One thing that comes into play there, I'm sure, is leadership, where some teams maybe struggle to find a couple leaders. I'm sure you have plenty of candidates. How has that sort of worked itself out?
Well, probably the most important senior, and I guess we could call it a re-addition to the program, is Alyssa Wagers. She had played 3 years prior to that, then last year before the season tore her ACL. And as our team captain and probably the #1 leader on the squad, we really did miss a lot of the things that she gave us, both on and off the court. And she's come back now for her first year of graduate school, and she's going to finish out her 4th year. So from a leadership standpoint, she adds an awful lot to us from that perspective.
You mentioned Alyssa there. You actually have a couple of other kind of interesting additions this year. Another girl coming back from injury, and then a senior transfer, actually, something that's sort of
well.
rare.
Chloe Irish also, same week last year that Alyssa tore her ACL, Chloe Irish tore hers. Chloe's had 2 knee injuries in her first 2 years here, so we've only gotten 5 games out of her. She's a really instinctive player, good rebounder, good defensive player, has worked really hard on her shot whenever she can. So I think she'll offer an additional amount of depth to the program. And then Kate Cianchetti played 4 years ago at Findlay as a freshman, had a really good first year. Then due to health reasons with her family, she ended up transferring to Akron, did not play the last 3 years, and decided she wanted to finish out. So she had played with Alyssa and Allison Pavko in high school, so this was an opportunity for her to come back and play her senior year with 2 of her high school teammates. So she's going to add a lot to us, possibly challenge for a starting spot at the point guard. So I think that's going to help us quite a bit.
You mentioned those 3 girls. It's going to be an interesting dynamic this year, bringing them in, because your starting 5 from last year all returns. Tell us a little bit about each of those girls, maybe starting with the seniors.
Well, the starting 5 coming back, Stephanie Rogers was probably one of the biggest surprises, I'm sure, to our GLIAC competition. Steph's a 6'2" senior now out of Menor, was one of the top 10 in the country in block shots, was a 2nd team all-conference. She was always good for double figures in points, high rebound totals and that, and had an extremely positive first year in the GLIAC, and she's back for her senior year, so I have great expectations for her. In the other spots, Jen Kaola has been our leading 3-point shooter all 3 years she's been here. Also set career records here for 3-point shooting, so Jen is back. Britt Busen, who's been our #1 defensive player, is back at the 2-guard spot. And then Brittany Zelli is returning for the starting point guard position, which, again, Cianchetti's going to battle with her. So it's nice that the seniors are being very positive in their approach to starting the season. And then the person that took Wager's spot in the starting lineup last year was Jody Gindra, a freshman. And although we really had to force-feed Jody into that lineup, the fact that she got to start 11, 12 games, very critical to her development as a player. So I think, she's going to be better off, now coming off the bench. And, that's gonna add a lot to our depth.
You mentioned all those players. I know there's a few other girls that played big minutes last year as well. How is that going to factor into how you play this year? It seems like you're going to have a really deep squad. Is that going to change the way that you're able to approach the game?
Well, I think probably the most important thing was last year we really didn't develop a team identity. You know, we weren't sure if we were supposed to be a defensive team, an offensive team, you know, a pressing team, how aggressive we should be. Everything was a game-to-game decision, and this year we're trying to get into the idea that we want to be a defensive team, a team that's going to put pressure on other people, and the fact that we have good depth, you know, is going to allow us to do a lot of substituting and keep a lot of fresh people out there and be able to push people as much as we can when they have the ball.
Tell us a little about how your schedule sets up. I know it's home heavy at the beginning. You have some exciting non-conference games and leading into GLIAC play.
Well, I think, you know, we start out, we've got a couple of provisional Division II schools in Notre Dame and Ursuline right off the bat in the early going. Wheeling Jesuit's going to be in there, another D2 school that we've played a number of times. We've also got, in December, we're going to be playing Cleveland State down at their place, which we do every year, which is always, you know, a fun experience to play a D1 school. Prior to the season starting, you know, we're going to scrimmage Gannon, we're going to scrimmage Mercyhurst, two PSAC Division II teams, and then we're also going to go down to Ohio University and do an exhibition with them. So I think, you know, there's a lot we're going to try to accomplish early on in the season. And then, you know, then you throw the GLIAC schedule at you, and, you know, I'd love to be able to say, you know, I can guarantee we're going to win this many games or that type of thing, but I really think when you're talking about the GLIAC, you're talking about a lot of very, very good teams, a lot of good coaches, and those teams are always recognized, prepared. So I think for us, you know, we were one of the weak teams in the conference last year. So for us, the big thing is to take that next step and be even more competitive every game and get a few more victories under our belt.
And finally, I got to ask about the goals and expectations for this year. I know you have the big senior class, and 2 years ago they were able to leave their mark a little bit with their 18-win season, the school record. Now, I imagine in talking to some of them, they're looking to leave their mark in the GLIAC this year. What are your goals and expectations along with that?
Well, I think my biggest goal is, you know, to get people on the floor and give them an opportunity to succeed. And as far as different things, you know, we've got a couple new kids in here that are going to help us defensively, help us run. So I think the identity of our team is going to be a little different, and hopefully changing that identity is going to result in, you know, more points being scored, less points being given up, and obviously, you know, a few more victories.
Well, Coach Booher, thanks for joining us, and best of luck this season.
Thank you, Kyle.